divorce rates among people over 50, they're on the rise. These are sometimes called gray or silver divorce. Bowling Green State University study found since the 90s, divorce rates have more than doubled for couples between 55 and 64 and tripled for those 65 and older. In many cases, experts say women are at a bigger disadvantage in these gray divorces. And in some cases, women have a shorter work history. They maybe chose to stay home to raise their family or face a bigger wage gap than men. Allison Camerata and I spoke with certified financial analyst Regina McCann Hess about what women need to know to protect themselves during a divorce.
Great to have you, Regina. This is, let me just, I keep saying people, but primarily, if you're in that age bracket, is it women who are more vulnerable traditionally?
Traditionally, yes. They're the ones who haven't had the relationship with the financial advisors. They haven't been part of those conversations, sometimes for decades. You know how we, in a marriage, we, divide and conquer activities, and usually the financial decisions and the handling of the money goes to the male counterpart in the relationship. So they are at the divorce line, not understanding everything that's going on and need to just be re-educated on it.
So, Regina, there's actually a difference between a financial planner and a divorce financial analyst. Can you explain that?
Yeah, so I am also a certified financial planner. So that's when I'm helping, you and your family figure out your goals for your college planning, your retirement planning, your life planning. I'm also a certified divorce financial analyst, and it's a different type of planning. So as you're getting married or while you're married over those years, you're adding assets to the kitchen table, right? You're just building all of your assets and your debts, of course. So when you go into a divorce, you now have this big pile of assets that you have to divide into two different piles. So I'm the person or one of the people who will help narrate, like, okay, well, this works better for you, this works better for the other spouse. And a lot of times I'll work as an advocate for some of those women who haven't been making the financial decisions, so that they have somebody helping them and educating them on what is going to work for them on the other side of the divorce, because they have to think about how it's going to impact their long-term financial planning.
So, Regina, are the calculations different for a couple deciding to split up over 50 years old versus a couple under 50?
Yeah, it's a little different because you have less time to recover. So if you're in your 30s, and you divide your assets, you have time to rebuild that little treasure trove, right? But if you're in your 50s or past your 50s, a lot of time, that's been 20, 30 years of building your assets. Now you potentially split it into two, and you're looking down the hallway at retirement in maybe 10, 15 years. You have less time to rebuild those assets. So your decisions here are very, very important. And it's one of the divorces actually probably the most, I would say, important financial transaction that you're going to have in your life. So making good decisions here is really important.
So, if a couple says, it's over, what do they need to know about their assets and their debts before they actually kind of decide once and for all, we're ending this marriage?
Yeah, I think it's figuring out what they do have, because sometimes people aren't even sure of all the different assets and debts that they do have. So kind of making a list. I'm an Excel spreadsheet junkie, but you can just take a piece of paper and write them out as well, compiling all of your statements and whatnot. And then also what your lifestyle is. I think sometimes where we just start is, what is your lifestyle? What is the household budget? Because the sad part is you're going, either from a one income or two income to then definitely a one income situation. And you have to sometimes pay very similar bills. Like, there are some things you can cut down, but you're still going to have heating, water, sewer, internet, things like that. So now you're paying two separate bills, two separate household bills.
What are your top tips, your three top tips for somebody considering a split like this?
I think the first thing is to get organized and know what your assets are, especially before you go see a mediator or a divorce attorney. Just be organized. I think it saves you a lot of time and money. Know that when you finalize the divorce agreement, that is a final decision. You can't go back and change anything. So understanding what you're signing before you sign it, I think is also very key. And the third thing I think is non-financial. Make sure you're talking to somebody who is like a professional, who can help you through the emotional side of this, as opposed to talking to your attorney about it, because they're not licensed to help you with that.
So much to keep in mind. All righty, Regina McCann Hess, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.